Now, they say that when it rains, it pours. Now, after a 4-year-long century drought in the IPL, Virat Kohli got a century versus Sunrisers Hyderabad on Thursday and then followed it up with another 100 in the very next game. And even though his team failed to make the playoffs, Virat's string of good scores this season has reignited the debate whether King Kohli still remains an automatic choice in the Indian T20 team. The man himself certainly thinks so. Another day, another milestone for Virat Kohli. First man to reach 7 centuries in the history of the IPL. And it's not just his overall record that's impressive. His standalone record this season also makes for some great reading, as he stands on the second spot for most runs scored in IPL 2023 for all Indian batters, 639 runs from 14 games at a stunning average of 53. But despite his good run in the IPL and earlier for India at the Asia Cup and the T20 World Cup, Kohli finds himself out of the Indian T20 team for the last few series. A clear indication that Indian cricket may have moved on from the senior pros on the back of growing criticism that Indian T20 template had become outdated.
Yeah, I felt great. I mean, a lot of people think my T20 cricket is kind of declining, but I don't feel like that at all. I think I'm playing my best T20 cricket again, and I'm just enjoying myself. You know, this is how I play T20 cricket. I look to hit gaps, hit a lot of boundaries, and then the big ones in the end if the situation allows me to. So, you know, strike rates, all those kind of things, as I said in the past as well. You have to read situations and rise up to the occasion when the situation demands, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in doing, and I've been doing it for a while now. So yeah, I feel really good with my game at the moment and how I'm batting out there in the middle.
Ravi Shastri, the former India coach, has been one of those on the outside that have suggested that India goes the 2007 T20 way, where India had dropped their established stars like Sachin Tendulkar, Saurav Ganguly and Rahul Dravid in favour of a young team led by a young captain in MS Dhoni. And this time, Hardik Pandya could play that role. Ravi Shastri and those in favour of a young team playing T20 for India may have based their opinion after closely examining the strike rates of young batters versus that of Virat Kohli. And the numbers do make for an interesting reading. In just this IPL, Virat's strike rate pales in comparison to strike rates achieved by the likes of Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shivam Dube, Jitesh Sharma and Sanju Samson. Names that are vying for the same spot as Virat in India's T20 team. Add to that the fact that these very youngsters have also scored more than 300 runs this season.
Not like when I play, I don't win games for my team. It's playing the situation that I take pride in. I have never been a guy who tries so many fancy shots, because I was just having a chat with Aiden as well. We have to play 12 months of the year. For me, it's not playing fancy shots and throwing my wicket away. We got test cricket after this, after the IPL. So I've got to stay true to my technique and find ways to win games for my team. Something that I take a lot of pride in. And
while there is no denying that strike rates are of extreme importance in T20 cricket, one also cannot ignore the fact that total number of runs, especially runs under pressure, is a trait that's needed in abundance to win T20 matches. And there's no better example of that than Virat's match-winning knock versus Pakistan in the recent T20 World Cup. All right, plenty of chatter over Virat Kohli, his team getting knocked out, his personal form, whether he should be in the Indian T20 team or not. We'll try and look for answers to all those questions a little later. Joining us live on our program, our former India captain in Sunil Gavaskar. But Sai, before that, I want to start talking about the league. You know, we had 70-odd league games, and the fact that the final team to qualify for the playoffs happened in the last game, in the last over of the last game. What does that tell you about the competitiveness of the league and this season on a whole?
Well, no wonder it's called the incredible Premier League, and with every season you're finding the matches getting more and more interesting, and it tells you the competitiveness. The standard of the league. Look at some of the batting that we've seen. Look at some of the bowling that we've seen. Look at some of the fielding that we've seen. About the captaincy, maybe not as great captaincy with some of the captains, but I think as far as batting, bowling, and fielding is concerned, it's been of the highest standard, and that's why you've got these last over, last ball finishes in so many matches.
One of the teams, Saima, that has a massive fan following, despite the fact that they've never won the IPL, is Royal Challengers Bangalore. They got knocked out yesterday in dramatic fashion, I might add. And I remember listening to you in commentary, and after Virat had got that 100, you said this 100 deserves to take him and his team to the top 4. That wasn't to be. What more could Virat have done to ensure that his team goes through?
Well, look, the batters had done their job. It's up to the bowlers to have taken the wickets. They didn't get the early wickets, although they got Ridhiman Saha. In the first 6 overs, the power play, if they had got a couple more wickets, it would have been a different story perhaps. But that didn't happen. And that's not been happening with the Gujarat Titans, because with the kind of form that Shubman Gill is in, with the kind of batting, that follows him, with Vijay Shankar coming and playing so well, Hardik Pandya didn't come in at number 3 this time. Maybe he's nursing a little bit of a niggle and wants to be 100% for the game tomorrow. So clearly, I think with the kind of batting lineup that Gujarat Titans have, if you don't get the first 2-3 wickets, then you're going to be in trouble. I still thought that 197 was a score that they could defend. I thought 180 would have been tough, but 197 I thought was maybe 15 runs more than above par. But clearly, I think Shubman Gill was on a different planet yesterday, and he just took the game away.
Interesting you talk about Shubman Gill, and I'll ask you a few questions on Shubman, his career in general, and the knock that he played. But the biggest talking point, Saima, right now is Virat Kohli, because he, after that 100 that he got, spoke to the broadcasters. He said many are saying that I'm not at top of my T20 game, but that's not true. I'm not feeling like that, and I'm playing T20 cricket as good as I've ever played. I'd like to know from you, what do you make of Virat Kohli's T20 future in international cricket? Do you still think that he's an automatic choice in the Indian T20 team, or do you think he'll have to be fighting for that spot with a few other youngsters?
Actually, what we should be talking about is Shubman Gill's batting. Because look, he got 100 under pressure. I don't think we should be concerned about the selection for T20, because the next T20 international, at least as far as the World Cup is concerned, is more than a year away. So I don't think we should be too concerned about it, because what that man Shubman Gill did yesterday was simply breathtaking. Look, to be able to bat better than what Virat Kohli had done takes something special, and that's what he did. Because Kohli's innings earlier was unbelievable, absolutely terrific. While it was more about power hitting, with Shubman Gill, it was so smooth, it was so elegant. There was nothing, not a foot put wrong. It was just wonderful batting, sublime batting. And I think we should be talking more about that than worrying about whether Kohli deserves a place in the team or not. Because I think now is the time to look at the future. And that future is Shubman Gill.
Okay, Saima, I had a lot of questions for Shubman Gill, because I have a lot of time with you, and I thought I'll get to Shubman as well as Virat Kohli. Maybe we'll get done with Shubman, but I'm going to come back to Virat Kohli. Let's talk about Shubman Gill, the knock that he played. He's that conventional batsman that many thought would excel in Test cricket. Many thought that would do maybe exceptionally well in ODI cricket, but the way he's batting with a strike rate of 200 yesterday to overall what RCB had done, is he telling the world that you really don't always have to be the batsman that needs to play all sorts of innovative shots? Even conventional cricket, you can succeed if your basics are right?
Well, that's what we saw earlier too with Kohli. Kohli doesn't play the scoop shot. Kohli doesn't play the reverse sweep. Kohli doesn't play the switch hits, but he got 100 in what? 50 odd balls, 60 balls.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm saying, that if your basics are right, if you find the gaps, if you have the power to work the ball away, and basically in this form of the game, if you can play the pull shot well, because look, guys will bowl the short of a length, coming up to the ribs, and you need to be able to do that. Both these batters have this wonderful, bottom end from where they can play that little flick shot or the pull shot, which means very few bowlers, if at all, will be able to keep them quiet. And that is the hallmark of what we saw, and that is the reason why Shubman Gill, with all the good length deliveries, being able to play that. I know he got out very early against Mumbai Indians, where he missed that short arm jab and lost his stump. But more often than not, he's able to connect because he hits it very late, and that's a hallmark of a great batter who plays the ball very late. So yes, I think therefore you can understand why original thinking is because he was such a lovely, player at test level, playing straight, and playing the drives, playing the on drives, the square cuts, which is again a very handy shot. You need to be able to play the horizontal bat shots, not just the vertical bat shots, and that's all. I mean, all in his repertoire, and basically he keeps it simple.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the strike rate issues, Aime, because that comes up very often in T20 cricket. Yes, we've seen strike rate of 160, 170, 180 become the norm. My point to you is, does everyone in a T20 team, in a T20 international team, have to bat at that higher strike rate? Or is there still room for, like, say, someone like a Virat Kohli who bats at 130, 140 strike rate? Because you definitely need someone to anchor the inning. You'll definitely need someone to get you big totals, because sometimes when we see with 160, 170 strike rates, you don't necessarily go on and make a big score. So is there still a space for a batter who gets you the big runs, as in an 80s, a 70s or 100 in a T20 game, even if it comes at 140, and not everyone needs to be a dasher?
Well, the format itself is changing rapidly. This is what we've seen over the last year or so, that so you really need to be smashing the ball from the first from the first ball that you face, and therefore looking to get at that big strike rate, because now with bats getting that much better, the guys getting stronger, the sky's the limit. I mean, who would have thought that in T20 cricket, the 200 run total mark would be breached so easily? We've seen Chris Gale score 175. That will take some, bettering. But yes, I think we'll come to that. We'll come to that because the batters are simply getting into great positions. The batters are in a situation where they are able to, just push the ball away and hit it for a boundary or a six. So yes, I think strike rates will be important. You also need somebody, in case wickets are falling, to try and piece the innings together, so that the team is not dismissed for 70 or 80 like it happened with Rajasthan Royals, 59 all out. You also need at that stage somebody to be able to hold it together. And in Rajasthan Royals case, eventually, of course, it didn't matter. But if they had gone to maybe even 100, 110, the net run rate for them would have been that much better. The net run rate for RCB would have been a little bit less. But nobody, thought of that. So yes, I think it depends totally on the situation.
Okay, so stay on with us. Plenty more to discuss with Mr. Gavaskar. Now, Shubman Gill's heroics against RCB put him amongst an elite list of players. But his knock also dashed RCB's hope of making it to the top four. But what later ensued on social media is commendable at the moment because, to say the least, because there is plenty happening on social media after the Gujarat Titans beat RCB and Lucknow Super Giants. Naveen Haq is again at the center of it all. Take a look at what all has transpired after the match on social media, and it doesn't make for a great reading.
23-year-old Shubman Gill is already doing things that make him an extra special player. He notched up the rare feat of scoring a second consecutive IPL ton and made a huge statement at the Chinnaswamy. His tremendous knock got him praise from all corners. The likes of Saurav Ganguly, Virendra Sehwag and Irfan Pathan were all heaping praise on one of India's brightest talents. But there were some who did not take kindly to young Shubman Gill and hurled abuses at him on Instagram as his knock ended RCB's campaign. Some fans stooped to a new low and targeted his sister. There were hateful comments on her latest Instagram post. RCB's loss even prompted Naveen Haq to take a whale jibe at the franchise. He uploaded a famous meme on his Instagram story.
God have mercy upon us.
This comes at the back of his ugly spat with Virat Kohli during a previous IPL match. On another occasion in recent weeks, he uploaded a story with the caption "Sweet Mangoes" when RCB was struggling in a game. The fans wanted the two teams to have a go at each other again, but now it isn't going to happen until next year, as was summed up by LSG on Twitter.
All right, Sunil Gavaskar still with us. Sunil, I'll talk to you about how fans at the moment react to their team losing and the other team doing well. But at the moment, I want to talk about player versus player, because all of it plays out on social media. You know, after that fracas that happened in that Lucknow game and RCB game, we've seen Virat Kohli put out a few posts on social media. Naveen ul Haq responding to that every time. What happened to the times where you played and, it was often said, whatever happens on the field stays on the field? It does not now. It continues on social media.
Well, call it public media, not social, because I've always said there's nothing social about that. But yes, I think that's the modern way. So it's up to each individual to be able to know where the limits are and whatever it is. But since generally the whole team is around Kohli, what I would like him to do really is with the abuse that has been directed at Shubman Gill and his sister, as you just informed me. Maybe for him to come out with something like that to all the people who are doing it. They may not necessarily be all RCB fans, but mostly they would be RCB fans. To ask them maybe that to accept that a special talent was the one that defeated them yesterday and denied them the chance of getting into a playoff, something like that, because of the fact that he himself has hailed Gill as the future star, the next generation, in an earlier sort of thing that he had put up. So maybe in case he makes that kind of an appeal, that'll work, is what I think.
Oh, that's a very interesting point of view, Saibai, because we remember what Virat did when it was concerning Steve Smith and the crowd was booing him. He actually told the crowd not to do that. That was a gesture that he made on the field. But you're right, maybe something he puts out on social media. He's done it in the past for some other issues that he's felt very strongly about. He's come out and expressed his views. Maybe that is going to help so that abuse is not directed towards some other players, as in the case of Shubman, as we just pointed out. What else, Saibai, do you think can be done? One is, you said maybe the players need to come out, but do you think the fans reacting the way they do also stems from the fact that now we've seen even players become very visible with their anger, with their sledging? All of it happens on camera in front of full sights, and then when the fans see it either on television or in live audience while sitting in the stadium, they think it's par for the course.
Yes, but I think just going back a little bit, when we were playing, we had a contract with the cricket board that prevented us from expressing our opinions unless you were a captain or unless you were interviewed, and even there were restrictions. So maybe something like that can be done at the IPL as well, because it's a BCCI event, preventing the players from doing anything in public apart from the mandatory interaction with the media at the end of the game or with the host broadcaster. Those mandatory. But maybe put the thing that, look, you will not, come out with any statement, whether it's a personal thing or whatever it is. I know in today's day and age, it's a little bit difficult, but surely for 2 months, 6 weeks or 8 weeks of the IPL, you can have that, where you just have a ban on players expressing themselves. Because sometimes, emotionally you've had some situation you've gone, and then you want to, you bring it out. So maybe, and that does not do the game any good when you bring out all the sort of anger and frustration that may inside you. So maybe it might be an idea for the BCCI in the contract with the IPL franchise to say no, nothing of this is going to appear.
Those are really valuable suggestions. Maybe the BCCI can look into it to ensure, that the game continues in the right spirit, as we've seen this game being played for so many years. Sunil Gavaskar, thank you so much for taking our time, joining us on our special Lights, Camera and Cricket. We'll take a break at this point, but here's a reminder, we're here every day at 6:30 p.m. building up to the IPL final. We'll have Sunil Gavaskar join us and give us all the insights in the games that are to follow. For the moment, that's all that we have for you, but news updates continue on the other side of this short break.